Chairman of the Telecom Council, Derek Curtin.
I love that. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully we'll be able to pull some more people in here when we realize lunch is over. I think they're probably still eating popcorn. That stuff made a mess. That might have been a bad choice. But anyways, our next session is slightly different. We got a great company who's doing a lot of things called Huawei. And one of the topics we have later on in the day is the vendor as a path to market. And we talked about it a bit in the morning too. It's this concept that if you want to sell into telecom networks, a lot of people in the startup world think, well, that means if I'm in the US, I find Verizon because they're #1 in mobile. I find AT&T because they're huge. But really, there's a lot of different paths to market. And we learned that from Amdocs in the speech they just gave. And also we learned that through all the presentations we got early in the morning. One of them is through these established vendors. They have the sales forces that can promote your stuff, and they have this wide reach across a number of different network operators. And it can make a heck of a lot of sense. So I'd like to invite up your moderator, Peng Li, to lead through 4 companies that have worked with Huawei. Peng, if I could invite you up to introduce yourself. Peng.
Thank you, Derek.
And while you're here, if your panelists can take their seats, slide behind
that would be great.
And we'll get started. Thank you, Peng.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here today with 4 of our great partners here today to talk about a little bit on the next generation mobile network and how this platform and network is going to bring new service and new revenue for our carrier customers around the globe. So we all know these days, data and the traffic and application means revenue. And all of this is moving to mobile. 4 weeks ago, I was in Shanghai, China, taking a subway. In that packed train, it's close to 100%. Everybody was looking at their mobile device. So the world has changed. Things are already moving to mobile. The operators should be in a very sweet spot of this mega trend. But the reality is, we all know that sometimes they are facing challenges. They are not enjoying as some OTT players enjoy. So we are here to help. As a vendor, we are trying to build a platform so that we will put the service and put our partner solution in the center stage and use this platform to help them to create a service for the operators. With this platform, and you will have the scale up with this platform, and you can have a cloudify with our platform so that your solution can run anywhere, all the way from the access, from the RAN gateway, all the way to mobile core, and even to the cloud, public cloud as an extension. You also will enjoy all the inside information, all the intelligence we can provide from the network as well as the security. Very soon, I will formally introduce our partner here. You will hear from themselves about their great solutions. Here, I just want to say a big thank you for all of you. It's really a privilege to work with you guys, and we learn a lot through the process. You know, each company is different. We are with a different background, different culture, different size, different way to conduct business. So through this process, we really gain a lot of knowledge, not only on the technology side, but also on the business. So thank you so much. Particular for Huawei, this platform called Cloud Edge. I'm sure other vendors are building similar things as well. And if you can see this picture, this has a couple of key components, VEPC, VMSE, most of you are familiar with. And then we also have Open API in a RESTful form. We call this a VUIC, which stands for Virtual Unified Intelligence Center, to bring all the network intelligence out for our partners, for our developers to take advantage of it. This thing has already been in the real world deployment and live kicking right now. Some example I gave, this is in China, location as a service. By the way, location as a service is so far the biggest application out there for the open APIs. We have a lot of vertical market in insurance, advertising, fraud prevention, many of real-time cases. If you want to know the detail, you can come grab me after the presentation and we can go through that. We also have a charging as a service, sponsoring data. And one more thing is coming up really big is the mobile pay. In China these days, I observe people using their mobile phone to pay more than they use credit card. They use mobile phone to pay for breakfast, for coffee, for taxi, even for ice cream. So very soon, I think the next generation won't even understand the concept of credit card anymore. So there's a lot of things we can do over there. And then quality as a service, of course, all the way from the hardcore, the gamers as well as the VIP customers to mission critical tasks. So there's a lot of application there as well. And we had already made great progress with our partners around the globe. We also win some very prestigious awards throughout the years. Okay, this slide, I really want to emphasize on this since this is the event where we social and then ask what we are looking for. What we are looking for these days is really the turnkey solution which can involve with this underlying platform. A great example you will later on hear from our partner is LocationSmart for the location-based service, Opera for video optimization, as well as mobile advertisement services. We're also looking for key components and key technologies. You heard from our partner again for big data analytic, as well as a security perspective. The area of focus, we has been focused on Gi-lan network appliance, and as well as the application which taking advantage of open APIs to bring a more intelligent services. This is still our focus, and we will have more focus later on IoT. So particular for IoT, this is gonna come up huge. I know there's a lot of talk on IoT. Almost every trade show I go, people talking about IoT. Something is a hype, somebody think is really there. So what I can tell is IoT will come up really big. Because I know as a fact, a lot of vendors, including Huawei, are building public cloud for many largest operators around the world. Once this public cloud being built, we will put application on top of it. And one major area is IoT. The advantage of a carrier doing IoT is they own the entire spectrum, all the way from the edge and to the mobile core to the cloud. So there's really an advantage to not only for the access for those IoT devices, but also be the brain for the IoT to do the service for the IoT player. If you get an image in, we can do a big data analytic, we can do image analytic, we can do speech processing, for example. This will be a great for carriers. And then obviously 5G, VR and AR is another big areas. This is one slide we show the solution diagram for POC we demonstrated last month at in China for Huawei flagship annual events, which has like 20,000 participants. We had a video at the end of the presentation. Hopefully you will enjoy the video. And if you feel this interesting, come talk with us at the end of the show. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first partner here, Mario Proietti. He's the CEO of LocationSmart. Mario.
Thank you, Peng.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm going to talk about what we're doing in location as a service. So we provide a platform that enables location through a variety of means, with or without an app installed on a device. And our focus is around using network intelligence as our core differentiator to locate a connected device, whether it's on cellular network, Wi-Fi, or connected via a fixed line internet. Our background is in location. We helped enable E911 across US and Canada, focusing on the US to date with that network-based capability. And in working with Huawei, we're taking that to other markets as well. But in addition to the location capability, we provide a comprehensive set of location means for any device, starting from the left to the right with nothing running on the device, so it's not using battery power or data usage of the device, leveraging information from the network, from a carrier network about where that device is based on cell tower information or assisted GPS. If the device is roaming, so the device has gone out of the country and is in another country, knowing that's frequently used for telecom expense management, financial fraud mitigation. We have databases as well, Wi-Fi, IP address, cell tower databases, 1 billion Wi-Fi IDs around the world, 3 billion IP addresses, 70 million tower IDs. So being able to locate a device simply if it can report an ID of the serving tower that it sees. And so on down, going to the right, we have a browser capability using HTML5. We have a mobile app SDK. And integrate all that applied geofencing capabilities on top of that, points of interest databases, street mapping as value-added layers on top of that, but then expose it through a common API to principally enterprises and service providers who want access to these ways of locating their users, whether they're consumers and workers or equipment, and being able to do that across all these different modes and sources through a single interface, single unified set of APIs. And we handle all of those disparate means of accessing that network intelligence and expose it through the cloud. That middle layer is our privacy consent interface, where we can enable user permissions through a voice engagement in an IVR, through text messaging, an app, or browser interface, and regardless of how the user is interfacing with the end application, and enable those modes of location. And I'll show some examples of how we do that. But first, kind of the key differentiators between network and device-based is that on the network side, it's low touch on the device. Nothing to install, doesn't use the data connection, no cost to the end user, low battery consumption, so it's server-side initiated, so it's sort of poll response kind of interaction typically. We have that deployed across the US and Canada on all the tier 1s and some tier 2s. And then on the device side, it does either involve some software running on the device to report IDs of what towers are seen, what Wi-Fi access point is visible, maybe some code in the browser or on the website, and then or within an app. We provide an SDK that essentially allows an app to be a location probe and deliver information that's compatible with all the back-end functionality. So on the back end, everything is done in a unified, integrated way. Some examples of customers that are using this across a lot of different domains. I'll pick out a few just to give you kind of a sampling. GM using it for logistics, supply chain management, tracking equipment as it goes along. Doesn't require GPS, very simple, low power module, just needs to be connected to the network and they can get visibility on how things are progressing. Tagging messaging services, proximity marketing applications with location as well. We have a lot of regulated gaming and lottery service providers who use us to verify that a user is within a jurisdictional boundary. They may leverage location from an app or from a browser, but to detect if there may be spoofing going on, leveraging the information that's available from the network that's much more difficult to work around and tamper with. Third-party logistics is another big use case for us where we have a lot of shippers that put business through brokers. They assign work to independent owner-operators, individual drivers who may bid on a job. That driver may not have any technology that's compatible with the shippers or the broker's technology, but the driver can simply opt in the phone into the service and instantly becomes a member of an application that the shipper and the broker have visibility into. So very low touch, allows SMBs, individual drivers, to bid on jobs they might not otherwise qualify for. So just some very broad examples. We have a demo that we'll be able to do at our demo booth. There's a link at the bottom there that if you go there, you can try it out with your own phone. Does a little opt-in, so nothing on your phone, just get a location dot on the map. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mario. So after all this presentation, you will have a chance to ask questions, of course. And the next, please help me welcome Dave Brown. Dave Brown is the Vice President of Product Marketing for Opera. Dave, please.
Thanks very much, Peng. Good afternoon, everyone. I thought I'd start off by giving you a brief introduction to Opera. A lot of people here aren't familiar with Opera, despite the fact that it actually has quite a large global reach. We're best known for our browser technologies. We have about 350 million active users worldwide. And a big part of the reason we're not better known is because the company is based in Oslo, Norway. That's why browsing is really important, because it's too cold to go outside in the winter. And the other thing that we're very well known for these days, a few years ago, Opera made big investments into the advertising business. And out of that came Opera MediaWorks, which touches over 1 billion people every day in terms of ad impressions. Opera now has more than 1,500 employees spanning offices worldwide. I happen to work out of the Sunnyvale office. We also have a large installation in Poland. So there's really three main businesses that Opera's in. Browsers, I've mentioned. Opera MediaWorks, I've mentioned. And the portion of the company that I'm actually in is the Operator Solutions. And we provide solutions to mobile operators and have been working with Huawei and other partners in that area and have done joint demos in that area as well. So the partnership we have with Huawei has been tremendously successful, I think, for both sides because we're very complementary in what each company brings to the table. Huawei, of course, is a massive company, touches almost every country in the world, massive global reach, and their Cloud Edge platform enables the deployment of network function virtualization, NFV applications that help mobile operators to deploy new applications in a matter of weeks when in times past with dedicated hardware, it would take 9 months to a year. So they provide the platform to allow this very rapid deployment of new applications. Meanwhile, what Opera provides is those cutting-edge applications themselves. We focus on three main areas, optimization, monetization, as well as analytics. And we also bring to the table all of that consumer and advertising expertise. So as part of our joint solution, we can work with Opera MediaWorks technology to provide ads in almost any country in the world. So the Rocket platform that is the basis of the technology that we've brought to market together really has two primary functions. One is video optimization. So with mobile operators, of course, RAN capacity is always at a premium, even with the move to LTE. And mobile operators, especially for congested cells, and especially when it's going to help to allow a good experience for the consumer, wants to optimize particularly media like video, which uses a massive amount of mobile capacity. Just a few years ago, the typical video that a user would watch would be about 400 kilobits per second, 360p or 240p. Now we see from the big players like YouTube, 1080p, 2K and 4K videos using up to 5 megabits per second. And that can really quickly bring the network to its knees. And what we do together is provide a solution for that to make sure that the RAN capacity is sufficient and that the user experience is optimized. And we also provide a monetization layer which helps operators to get their messages in front of customers. In the olden days, mobile operators had their own page and people went through their page and deployed their applications through the operator's page. Now, it's all the iOS and the Android ecosystem, and it's harder and harder for them to get their messages in front of customers. So we provide the ability to do insertions during the normal web browsing process. So that's the first application, is what we call our Rocket Marketer application. Provides monetization capabilities, allows operators either to put advertisements in front of customers to enable app downloads for pay, or to put in front of customers their own operator messages to help people to top up their data plans, for example. And it's all a clientless solution, so that means that regardless of what handsets are in use in the network, the operator can put this clientless solution in place in a matter of weeks and immediately be able to access all of their subscribers in that footprint. So that is a very, very powerful value proposition, the fact that you don't have to deploy a client, which is very costly, time-consuming, and difficult. A few of the use cases for Rocket Marketer: promoting app downloads, upsell data plans, and toll-free data solutions. The other major application is optimization, and this is all about making sure that more users can access more media in a cell. So here's an example of an unoptimized cell where certain users or certain applications just do not have sufficient capacity just because the cell capacity is not being used efficiently. By taking a big 5 megabit per second video and bringing that bit rate down to 500 or 1,000 kilobits per second, we can provide an equally good experience, probably a better experience by preventing stalls, preventing long start times, and turn it into this picture, a very well-optimized experience with lots and lots of users making access and being able to access their applications in that cell. And as a result, that means users using more data because they're watching more videos, because they're getting a better experience. It also means that the operator can defer their CapEx expenditures because they don't have to invest in new cell capacity nearly as quickly. And that means reduced network congestion, reduced churn, and a better experience for the customer.
Wonderful.
Now, hand it back to Peng.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you, Dave. So next, please help me welcome Werner. He's the Senior Director for Global Support for Striim, which is a great data analytic solutions. So please.
Thank you, Peng. Good afternoon, everyone. So before I start my presentation, so I just want to ask a quick question for this audience here. So anyone heard about a company called Golden Gate here? Probably no one. Okay. So the reason I'm trying to talk about this is Striim is a platform to provide the customer the capability to collecting the data in real time and analyze the data in real time. This company existed in market about 4 years ago. All these founders, major founders of this company actually come from a previous company called Golden Gate, which is a real-time data replication solution acquired by Oracle in 2009. So some of these major players in Golden Gate actually came out to form this company because we are trying to process data even in a more broader view. We're not only processing data from the database now, we're getting the data from anywhere, from including the file system, including, sorry about that. So we are processing the data from the file system. We can process data from the database transaction log files. We can process data from all the message queues, even including the IoT devices. So when you think about the big data analysis system, the most difficult part is actually where you collect the data. How are you going to normalize those data? There's some other tools in the market, including the traditional way to do the data warehouse to try to analyze the big data. But collecting the data from different places, that's a big challenge right now. Because you have to understand the data format. You have to understand how to interact with all these different data sources. And we actually have all this capability built in our software. So we do have all the adapters built in there. Plus, when we collect the data, we provide you the parallel processing to collect the data from various locations in real time, and in the same time sending data to our own platform, and we can do the data analysis in the real time in parallel. So that means we provide you the capability of the analyze the data in the time the data is generated. And plus, we can deliver the analysis result to real time to a dashboard or to your file system or to your application. We can interact with your application real time. So allow your application or the data owner to take action on the real time data intelligence. That is why in our company name, we have two I's in there, Striim. The first I means integration, which means we can get the data from almost anywhere. And we can also share the data with almost anyone, any application. The second I is talking about intelligence. So we can get the information from those data, analyze the data in memory in real time. So the only thing left for the user to do, for the application developer to do, is to concentrate in their business logic and convert that into a SQL-like language and plug into our platform to start analyzing the data. So that saves a lot of trouble for the application developers. So here I'm going to show the architecture of how the data flows in our platform. So if you look at the left side, that's all the sources where we can get the data from. And so like I mentioned before, it can get the data from the database or database transaction log file. The log files resides on the disk, which are, can be application log files, web server log files, or even your device log files. And we can even get the data directly from message queue, for example, very popular Kafka or JMSQ. Even we can gather data from the IoT device. So all this data, we're collecting them in real time. And then this data gets sent into our platform. Then we can do all the queries, aggregation, filtering. Those are all built-in function, like just put a function call in there. We can filter the data. Because the data is real time, it's in stream, so we can even define a window. You can define a sliding window, a jumping window to study the data for a specific time and to study the data pattern. And then once we get this information, we can also, on top of that, to do the pattern detection, matching or correlation. So this information, once we get the intelligence of data, we can share that in real time with your application. Either send it out as alert, or we can even display that on our own dashboard, which is a very good visualization tool, which is also included in this platform. And here is some of the usage of this the platform. So we are using the design flow, allow the application developer to do drag and drop to define how the data get flow in the system and how to process that. And we are analyzing the data using the SQL-like language. So almost all the developers or IT people now know SQL very well. So they don't need special training, and they can get up to speed to do the analyze immediately. And we allow you to deploy this application parallel into multiple nodes in the clustering environment, because we need have the real-time capability. That means if your data volume is big, we need more memory, more CPU, which means if you have a big clustering, have multiple node, we can do this processing in parallel. And then in the end, we can display the data in the visualization dashboard, which have all the different tools you can use. In addition to that, we also provide a monitoring capability to monitor the CPU usage, the memory usage, and whether our node is up and down. So these are all provided to you in the GUI interface. The Striim platform, it does not need to run on any existing database. As long as you have a Java on the system, we can run on that. But we can coexist with any other database or big data application you already have. So in this particular picture, you can see in the brown arrows is the data exchange Striim platform does. The red arrows is your existing system. If you have data warehouse, you have Hadoop system, your existing application can run on that, and we can run on top of this to provide the real-time data analysis to your particular system. So we can coexist with all the existing data warehouse system, and we can provide the real time to share with your user, with your application. So that's pretty much covers all what we do.
Great. Thanks a lot, Werner. So last but not least, our partner and friend, Ulrich. He is the founder and the CEO of ObjectSecurity. Please.
Hey, thank you, Peng. It's been really great to work with the team on the various pilots and demos we were doing. So we were the cybersecurity partner in this. Our OpenPMF product allows you to do powerful security policy implementation with effortless management. And what I mean by that is essentially, usually you either have pretty good security policies and it's very hard to implement because they're complex, or it is relatively crude, the policy implementation that you do, but you can actually manage it. So these two are usually at opposing ends, and our product lets you do both. Better policies, but manageable. So we focus a lot on making policies human manageable, so human intuitive, and I'll show you some examples later, where we then automatically generate the matching technical implementation. We focus a lot on access control, because that is the most underserved part of cybersecurity. It's the one that's really hardest to do among the couple of subjects, but that is one, right? A critical aspect of the product, the OpenPMF product, is that it lets you manage security policies in the the terms and concepts that you as the human administrator think about, right? So are you thinking about doctors and patient records, or are you thinking about whatever it is, right? You can see the way we do it is essentially by feeding in, by analyzing information, feeding that in, and stirring the pot with some machine learning to understand what you said and what's going on, and then generate the implementation. When you look at this from a sort of system perspective, we provide an access control umbrella. So there's a consistent management. You can see on the one side, we detect stuff about the interconnected IT landscape and then automatically enforce the implementation. So there's one place where the policy gets managed in the terms that you think about them versus all this technology detailed stuff. You compare that with current access management. It's usually similar for identities, and if you're lucky for roles, so you have some access policies in a central place, so you got some consistency, but much of the other policy is all over the place, right? So they're baked into applications, baked into systems, and so on. So this OpenPMF security policy umbrella gives you better access control. It makes it easier to manage and maintain policies because it's in one place and it's in the way you understand it, the way compliance guys understand it too, right? It's easier to integrate with existing IT because you have a unified environment now, and easier to audit. So what you get as benefits from that is reduced risk and cost, improved security, improved compliance, and you can enable smarter business this way. So this isn't just about avoiding the bad. That cybersecurity is typically like selling insurance. This is really when you look at Internet of Things, and much of where telco is going into with the platforms, it's the future smarter business, the next generation of stuff. It needs better security to actually function. Won't go into detail here. We have a table, so we can talk about that later, but you can see there are many functions how you can interact with our product, from authoring policies to testing to managing policies to automatically importing, say, network traffic and things like that, to automatically generating the enforcement and enforcing it. So there are a lot of functions that go into policy implementation. It's not an easy subject. Here's a screenshot. So it's a cloud-based, if you want. It's a web-hosted solution. Can also be a managed appliance in your organization. You click together some policies, relatively intuitive. So here are some examples of these high-level policies that humans think about. So first one, for example, only allow IP to IP information flows we have detected and approved. Could be a million flows, right? But for a human, it's kind of understandable what that means if you know where the data comes from. It's not possible for a human to think of a million rules, right? Same second one is from a project that we're doing. Intelligence analysts can access information about suspects they're tasked to investigate. That would be role-based access control. But then also about suspects that are within free hop social proximity of that suspect, right? So I'm giving a broader reach, but I'm not giving blanket access. Now that's a very smart rule, very intuitive to understand. I could still have a million suspects and 1,000 analysts, you know. In our demo, we had an example: do not show age-restricted ads to customers if they're minors in their current geolocation, and if that geolocation has ad age restrictions, right? So again, I'm not even saying which geography. It's a generic rule. The tool feeds in the details, generates the implementation. Object security has been around for a while. We got a bunch of customers, not just telco. In fact, we're across the board, horizontal technology, partners in military and enterprise alike, patents, awards, and lots of people saying good stuff about us. So we're a good security partner, and I think that's the last slide. Yes.
Excellent.
I clicked, and that's it.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. And yeah, if anyone wants a demo, we have a demo. I can show that at the
Thank
table.
you, Ulrich. And I hope all these technology
the
details.
NFV-powered
Excellent.
intelligent mobile.
Can you stop the video, please? So in the interest of time, rather than rolling the video, I think is a little bit long. It's 5 minutes. I think let's make it more interactive. Let's have the Q&A session first. If you guys have any question for any of us, please just ask. Technology-wise, how the partnership-wise, if anything, we can offer help, our experience will be. Yeah, please, there's a microphone over there. Yeah, please don't be shy. The microphone is here.
And down the middle aisles. Let me kick it off with the first question.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. We talk about vendor as a potential path to market for companies, and so we have a great example here. And you're promoting 4 partnered companies
Absolutely.
with this panel. You're a big sponsor of TC3, so thank you for that. And you're bringing up your partnerships.
Pleasure.
So what more do you do for the partners to expose them to potential markets around the world?
That's a great question. So as actually you already mentioned that Huawei is a big player in this field. We have the connections and good relationship with the operator around the world. Not only we have this good business relationship so that we can bring the startup company to the field, we also have the inside knowledge of what the next move they will have. For example, IoT front, we know exactly what they will go. And then we are actively looking for partners which fit their strategy. It's not like a blank shot. So whatever the partner we choose, it's had a greater implication later on, 2 years, 3 years down the road. And you heard from all of this partner company today, their application is not only on the demo we will have for you today. If you want to see the video, by the way, we will have it out on the booth. They will have a lot of the implementations they can do across the board on many, many verticals. So that's the things we can bring on the table. And obviously, Huawei already in a position of a system integrator. We certainly will not do all this thing by ourselves. For the application of this, we would rather have our partner do it. And we love to have partners to partner with us to bring all this technology to serve our customer better. So, great, please.
Hi, I'm Rajesh with Zavient. This question is for the representative from Striim. Could you give some examples of use cases where your technology was deployed in collaboration with Huawei for customer benefit, for improving customer experience?
Yes. So because we're providing the real-time data analysis capability, there's a lot of areas, for example, for the fraud detection in the banking industry, and also in the telco market, you have the automatic load balance monitoring. Because those cases, you do not only need to know when it happened, you need to take action right at the time to this action, to this fraud detection case, or to address the network load issues. So you will have better customer experience, and also you eliminate your liability on that. And on top of that, there's other use cases which we're working closely with Huawei. Another area is IoT area. Because the IoT have a lot of sensors, they are sending the data out in real time. And this data volume is so big. And also the device they are sending the data on, normally are on the platform, which is very small. They don't allow the big application to be installed on there. So we can actually run our agent on this edge processing server, and then collecting data, filtering data at the first level, and then get the real-time data, and we can take immediate action to analyze the data, and then to send the information to the right owner to take the proper action. This all happen in real time because we are doing the analysis of the data in memory. Everything's happening in memory. We're not using any external database or storing the data anywhere on a disk file. So that's the big advantage we have, which allow us to provide the real-time capability for the data analysis.
I hope that's answered your question. And to add on that, I think you will get that the Striim, now the strength is on the real-time analytics. This is different than you already save a whole bunch of data in the storage and then on the disk, and then you do the data crunching there. So you can imagine there's a lot of things we do with them. There's a project is ongoing. Obviously, I cannot reveal the detail, but you can think of if telecom produce a lot of data. This data need to be saved somewhere, need to later be retrieved. This is a hassle. If those data can in real time go through Striim's big data analytics, we only extract the necessary part, save it. Not only will save the storage, but also will make the application on top is more intelligent. That's all I can say, right? I remember there's another hand. Yeah, please. Don't be shy, ask them all these questions. So whoever get the most questions will pick up the dinner bill, so please.
Hi, my name is Ulrich, and this again directed towards Mr. Hay from Striim.
Right.
So you mentioned the data is all in memory. So does that mean that if something catastrophic happens to the engine or the system, what happens to the data? How are you different from a streaming engine if you're not storing the database or data?
Very good question. Thank you. So for a real enterprise implementation of Striim, we normally suggest a clustering implementation, which means you have multiple nodes in the cluster to process the data. So when you deploy our application, you can tell the deployment group to deploy to a certain nodes. For example, you can designate 3 nodes for this application. And at normal time, the application will only run node, say, on node 1. So when node 1 crash, the clustering management software will automatically move everything from node 1 to node B. And it will continue to process from node B. And the node B will pick up from where the node 1 left off, didn't finish, and it continue to process. And this whole failover process to the end user is purely transparent. If you don't pay attention, you do not even know the node went down. So we are basically just rotating the application through different nodes. And also, you can deploy the application in a way to all the nodes. You can designate, for example, the 3 nodes, and this application can run on all the 3 nodes, but they are doing the parallel processing. We can partition the stream on 3 nodes. So in this case, if one of the nodes went down, we will automatically balance the load to the rest of the 2 surviving nodes. And we can guarantee there's definitely no data loss. And we can, once we move over to the other 2 nodes, we'll continue to processing from the where left off. And the most amazingly, if the 3rd node get fixed and put back into the clustering again, we can rebalance and put all the data evenly on the 3 nodes.
Great.
Thank you.
One more question from the audience, and we have time for just one more, so this is perfect.
Excellent.
Rob van Essen, TomTom. I have a question for Mario from LocationSmart. Your location capabilities, are they present indoor and outdoor? And what are the acquired accuracies?
Yeah, we cover both indoor and outdoor. Outdoor, we leverage cell tower or assisted GPS principally, and that can range from what's possible with GPS, dot on a map, assuming the device is in an environment where GPS is functional. Cell tower gets to be hundreds to thousands of meters, depending on cell site spacing. And we leverage the best capability in the network, which varies from network to network. Some do trilateration, others are simply based on cell tower ID. For indoors, we can leverage beacon and Wi-Fi currently. So beacon is proximity detection. So with the appropriate deployment, it's as accurate as, and we can do power measurements, so near, medium, far kind of detections. Wi-Fi, similarly, we can process multiple Wi-Fi IDs and signal measurements and do a trilateration technique with Wi-Fi. And that can get down to 5 to 10s of meters. Single Wi-Fi access point can be a few dozens of meters to 100 meters. And with beacons, it's proximity to several meters or shorter.
Great. And let me bounce one more question off Ulrich. So if you sell through Huawei in this particular arrangement that we're talking about here, do you become a white label solution, or do you retain all your branding as you go through? You present to the carrier as Opera, or do you present as something different? All right.
Yeah, so we definitely white label.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no, security isn't really an end user facing
I'd be curious. Actually, that's great. And I'd be curious actually to go down the line and see if you guys white label, or if that, how do you do that? So going down the line?
We do not white label, but we let Huawei typically will take the lead in the account because they've got the broad reach, and so generally speaking, they would front the effort, but we work together as one team and bring together our respective expertise in front of the customer.
Thanks, Werner.
Yeah, we were pretty much approaching the same way, and we can do either OEM solutions, or we can do, depends on the customer, whether they want to deal this separately. So we're very flexible.
Mario?
Yeah, we do both. We offer it under our brand, but we have 2 wireless operators in the US that white label it and offer our service as a cross-carrier solution to their customers, which they can't do on their own.
Great. Yeah. All right, so Peng, thank you very much for bringing this great panel together and presenting all these interesting companies to us, and thanks to Huawei for being a sponsor. And thanks to all of you.
Thank you so much. And remember, we'll be at the booth, so whoever want to see the demo as well, the real live demo from all these folks, so it will be available there.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Thank you much.
Thanks a lot, Peng.